Hello and welcome to this preview of some new tools for COBOL developers arriving in our Visual COBOL and Enterprise Developer 7.0 release. My name is Scott Nielsen, Director of Product Management at Micro Focus. Micro Focus has been the leading provider of COBOL modernization tools for over 40 years. We take our role in providing access to modern development tooling very seriously, with a range of options across the leading development toolsets. In our 7.0 release, we're now providing a new extension for Micro Focus COBOL inside of Visual Studio Code. COBOL developers can edit, compile, and debug COBOL applications using Visual Studio Code on both Windows and Linux. In this demonstration, we're going to combine the new features of Visual Studio Code for COBOL developers with our support for the .NET Core platform. During this demo, you'll see our new Visual Studio Code extension for Micro Focus COBOL, a COBOL application compiled to .NET bytecode and running in the .NET Core platform on Linux, a C# application calling the COBOL code, and all brought together within an ASP.NET Core web application. Ted John, who is a developer in our Visual COBOL engineering team, is going to take you through the steps in this short video. Ted, over to you.
Thanks, Scott. My name is Ted, and I'm one of the developers for Micro Focus Visual COBOL. For many years, we have provided build, edit, and debug capabilities for .NET COBOL on Windows and Visual Studio. For 7.0, we're bringing that to .NET Core on Linux using Visual Studio Code. More and more .NET applications are now being deployed to Linux, and we want to make it as easy as possible to get your .NET application on Linux by providing tools that can assist in not just the building and deployment of your application, but also the debugging of it. I'm going to give you a quick demo of some of the capabilities we now provide as part of our Micro Focus COBOL extension for Visual Studio Code. On my screen, I have an ASP.NET Core application written in C#. The backend is a legacy COBOL application that reads books from a flat file. I also have a small bridging layer to aid in converting our legacy COBOL structures into .NET objects that are suitable for consumption in our C# code. Let's first run our ASP.NET Core application to give you an idea of what it looks like. Like any other ASP.NET Core application, I can open a terminal and write .NET Run to start the web app. I can then launch a browser and navigate to localhost where the web app is hosted. We can see that the page is displaying a list of books, but some of them do not appear to be showing the author. Let's try to investigate the issue by debugging our application. I have already set up a build and launch configuration, so with the aid of Microsoft's C# extension and our own Micro Focus COBOL extension, we can debug through both the C# and COBOL code. I'm going to start by placing a breakpoint in the read method of the index page. Now I can press F5, which will launch the application with the debugger attached. I know the first book displays correctly, so I'm going to skip that, but step into the second read call. We can see that it is actually stepped now into the bridging layer written in COBOL. I can inspect the values of the variables here, and I can also step through the code again. I have now stepped in to the legacy COBOL layer. Stepping further, we can step into the Do Next Record section. And again, I can look at each of these data items and inspect the value. We also get a list of local variables showing here and a call stack to see where we are in our application. I can see now that the author is not being set. It seems to be missing. So let's now stop the application and add the missing line. Now that I have saved the edit, I can press F5 again, and this will rebuild my application and start debugging it. We no longer need this breakpoint, so I'm going to remove that and press F5 to continue. If I now switch back to the browser, we can see that the authors are now showing for every book. Another feature provided by the .NET tooling is the ability to automatically recompile and deploy our application when we make a change to any of the source files. Let's see this in action. To set this up, all I need to do is type .NET watch run in the terminal. Let's go to the section of code responsible for displaying the stock value. I am going to make an aesthetic change by adding a hash symbol before the stock value. When I save the file, the application recompiles and redeploys. If I go back into the browser and refresh, I can see that that change has now applied. Let's do this again. I go back to the code, I make an edit. This time I am going to surround the stock number with brackets. I save, I go back to the browser, and I then refresh the page. And my update has now applied. This gives you a good idea on how quickly you can develop and test changes in your COBOL code. So to summarize, Micro Focus Visual COBOL 7.0 allows you to build and develop .NET Core COBOL applications on both Windows and Linux. The Micro Focus COBOL extension for Visual Studio Code provides a .NET COBOL debugging experience alongside Microsoft C# debugging, allowing you to seamlessly jump between the two languages within your application. We recommend using Visual Studio on Windows to take advantage of our rich editing capabilities for COBOL, and then build, deploy and debug your application directly on Linux using Visual Studio Code. Back to you, Scott.
Thanks, Ted. That was a great demo of what's on offer in 7.0. Now, if you'd like to try this for yourself, here are a few resources to get you started. You can get your hands on a trial of Visual COBOL 7.0 from the microfocus.com website. If you want to try out the Visual Studio Code extension for Micro Focus COBOL, you can get that from the Visual Studio Code marketplace. Join the community if you have any questions or need some help, but otherwise feel free to get in touch with me directly if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.